$943 is the latest price prediction from many people, but this isn't all smoke and mirrors. SWFT integration, as well as a $210 trillion market, could even see XRP go higher. Now, there's a couple of things I want to talk about, why and how we get to that price, and then what's going on in the background, whether that's upgrades to the XRPL, as well as some very important news coming this week. So we're going to take down a path of which we could end up at a $943 XRP. How do we get there? Let's stick around and talk about it. So, could we really see a $943 XRP? It does rely on a couple of key things that I want to walk through now, namely something Brad Garlinghouse himself has actually spoke about, and that would be XRP going onto the SWFT ecosystem and taking 14% of that revenue. That's about $210 trillion. Now, yes, this isn't small fry. They have a massive ecosystem, globally used, and more importantly, every payment system you could ever imagine runs through SWFT. So if XRP was to take a little bit of it, how do we get there? And more importantly, what is going on to support that? Well, we've seen massive moves, namely the integration of, yes, firewalls. This is the biggest security-focused change that developers have been preparing for this upgrade for the longest time. This is XLS86 firewall supporting both security and those cross-border payments. So there's lots of stuff going on that is hopefully therefore going to support what we want to see built out. So let's walk through exactly how this could play out. Now, remember, Brad Garlinghouse did drop one of the boldest projections we've ever heard, XRP capturing 14% of the SWFT's 1.5 quadrillion flows over the next 5 years. Like I said, it is not small change with this, and every ecosystem, every payment system is using this network. So how do we get there? Well, look, the fact that 1.5 quadrillion annually, that's with a Q, says XRP could handle about 14%. That takes us to about $210 trillion in flows. And remember, the US GDP is around 27 trillion. So why does it matter? Well, remember, we've talked about the AMM on XRPL. We've talked about how those fees could be, brought to the XRP ecosystem. Well, look, the reality here is that a fraction of this demand would funnel into those XRP liquidity pools, and price discovery won't look like past cycles. $3, $10, absolutely not. You're talking about skyrocketing prices. Double down that we're seeing things like DTCC, 3 quadrillion in settlements, global banks are in the US and Japan, as well as Visa, MasterCard, and much more, all starting to, well, print some very exciting numbers. When you start talking about conservative maths of 1% of that 530 trillion global flows, you could easily see a $96 XRP. If that is a liquidity squeeze of 5.6 billion effective flow, well, that's why you start to get to $943. Now, is that a pretty big bold price prediction? Of course it is. But the reality is it's going to rely on how we build out global flows and why it becomes important for many of the ecosystems to, well, integrate with XRP. We already talked about these upgrades that are coming down. There's also another major catalyst that people are neglecting, and that is ETFs. Now, we did see the Rex Osprey delayed. Unfortunately, that one is coming hopefully this week. Again, this could play out once again very favorable as this comes through. Remember, these ETFs are going to buy XRP on the open market. And this just isn't any small company. They handle billions of dollars worth of under management. And again, just want to get involved in exposure to XRP. These are very different to those Bitcoin ETFs as we expect them to hold. And I guess, well, how do I verify all of this? This could just be a video of me hoping you up. The reality is, once again, we are seeing mass net outflows of exchanges of XRP. Everyone is stacking their freaking bags. As price consolidates around this $3 range, we are seeing more and more every single day XRP leaving exchanges. This creates a supply squeeze, it creates scarcity, and more importantly, ask yourself why. Well, the reality is everybody knows what's coming. There is going to be a new shift in the financial markets as XRP, in my opinion, becomes the global payment system. And I don't have to be the one to tell you this. In fact, we've seen this a number of times from Grayscale as well as many others. Take a look at this. 1 REIT returns for the top 10 crypto assets. You've got XRP there with the return year today as one of the top performing assets, second only to Hyperliquid. And actually, this continues to build out even further. So is $943 reasonable? Well, it's not going to happen next week. But as we see further integration of XRPL, as we see more and more companies starting to buy, remember, Uphold themselves predicting $1,000 for XRP. Well, we're not out of the realms of possibility. Yes, there's a ton of things that has to happen. Yes, there's a significant amount in the escrow. And yes, we need mass crazy FOMO buy-in. That could be coming this week. We could finally start to see retail dive into the market and looking to get very bullish. Remember, Bitcoin looking optimistic, XRP setting up for another good move, and it's all starting to play out very favorably. So if you are bullish on what's coming, and let me know what you think. Could $943 really be a price prediction for XRP, or are we all living just with a little bit too much hope here? As always, we'll break it down every day here on the market. And don't forget, subscribe if you want to stay ahead of everyone else in this game. Don't forget, you can become a channel member, get free access to our premium Discord service with all the latest trade calls and alpha calls as well. So with that being said, I'm out of here. I'm off to go and stack some more XRP. Take care. Bye-bye.